these nuances are important as the lawfare plays out and as the media manipulations bubble up. We won. No, we won. No, understanding nuance is important.
Totally. And, I'm shocked that you were shocked that it didn't get reported that way in the media. I mean, we've both been in this game long enough to know that the media is not always going to report everything in a sort of fair and objective way. And this is another example of that. But I think you're right. And look, this is I think it was important for the Supreme Court to step in here, not just in this case, but the other ones you mentioned, to put some of these lower court judges sort of back in their lane, back in their place. I mean, this has gotten out of control. We've talked about this on our show. The number of nationwide injunctions that have been issued just in the first 2 months of the Trump administration, and 2/3 of all of them that have been issued were, issued in the last 9 years since Donald Trump took office. So this was a real problem. It had been getting out of control. And I think John Roberts recognized that. And so I think the Supreme Court was right to step in here and just, basically, again, not as you point out, with some caveats, and there's still some things that to be worked out in the court, but at least to get the system sort of back in balance, because it had gotten way out of hand with the way these judges have been just sort of trumping, no pun intended, all of Trump's policies at a national level. It's just ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. And Trump has accurately perceived a green light on the deportations of these Venezuelan gang members who are not, some of the left-wing press would have you believe, like, your last name is Garcia and they're putting you on a plane. That's not what's happening. The DHS group, ICE in particular, and Tom Homan are being very careful in deciding who goes. Will they be 100% perfect? I don't know. I know the one guy who got deported, who wasn't supposed to be deported, was totally fine to deport, just not to El Salvador. That's what all the expenditure of energy is on that one guy this week who they found. And it was like, so he had a non-removal order to El Salvador because that was the country that he sneaked in from. And he had a deportation order issued against him, Carl. They said, you're being deported, sir. Get out. And like within 2 weeks of having to leave, only then did he try to claim asylum. Actually, it was too late for him to claim it. So he just claimed, please, you can't remove me. Please don't send me back home to El Salvador because there's this gang that's trying to kill me and my family. And the immigration court had mercy on him and said, all right, we'll give you a non-removal order to El Salvador. And he's been here ever since. This is just a few years ago. But by the way, you could still remove him to El Salvador if the conditions there that required him to have a non-removal order had changed favorably in a way that would be safer for him. And they have. The gang that was totally devoted to getting this guy and his family, allegedly, has been eradicated by Maduro, or whoever it was in El Salvador. And so this guy, like their poster boy, was definitely deportable. ICE is not making massive mistakes at it. Like they want you to believe that these are the Keystone Cops, and they're not.
Well, his name was Garcia. It is Garcia, actually. And
that's not the reason.
But your analogy. So, look, he lived here. This case. Let's talk about the politics of it for a second, and we'll get back to the legal of it. He's a dad of 3, lives in not Silver Spring, in Prince George's County, in a house. You can look it up, with Zillow. You can find out where he lives. His wife works. He's got 3 children. The youngest is 5 years old and is nonverbal, autistic child. He's apparently working. It doesn't sound like he was really in any gang, and he was. And I'm not sure. I'm skeptical as you are that his life was threatened. I'm also skeptical that he was an MS-13, which the government keeps saying without any evidence whatsoever.
Well, wait, but are you aware of the fact that a lower court judge, an immigration judge, and an appellate judge both found evidence to support his gang affiliation?
This was in 2019. There was one person alleged. He denied it. It wasn't a hearing. As you point out, these immigration courts they're not set up, guilt or innocence beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
But America, look, I'm talking about the politics of it, though. Here's a guy taking care of his kid. He's picked up, he's got this Biden administration did nothing for 4 years now. Maybe he should have paid closer attention to the election to the campaign as it was unfolding. But he's there running an errand, and suddenly he's in El Salvador in prison. And yes, they could deport him to El Salvador, but he's never even been charged with a crime. And whatever the government wants to say, and the Justice Department lawyers have been a little bit, they're not quite known what to say. And one of them was removed for not being a passionate advocate. They first said it was an administrative error. Then they said they couldn't do anything about it. His lawyer says, well, they couldn't do anything about it, but they didn't try to do anything about it. The idea that he's that because of the United States law enforcement, he's in a person in prison who's never even been charged with a crime, I think it makes Americans very uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable. And could he have been deported? Yeah, but he wasn't just deported. He was sent to prison, straight from the streets of Maryland to a maximum security prison in El Salvador. It seems Kafkaesque.
Well, I don't know if you're right. I'll give you the latest stats, which you, of course, already know because you are at RealClearPolitics, which does all the polling and posts all the polling. But there is a Wall Street Journal poll just out, 1,500 registered voters. And the question is, it does all sorts of approve or disapprove questions on illegal immigration. And we'll get into some of them. But here's this one. In favor or oppose deporting illegal immigrants who are suspected foreign gang members to El Salvador without a court hearing to determine whether they belong to a gang. Total favor, 55%. Oppose, 43. Okay, 43. So, and then if you just boil it down to deporting illegal foreign gang members to El Salvador, 62% favor, 32% oppose. But even they got specific here. If illegal immigrants who are suspected foreign gang members to El Salvador without a court hearing, that you got 55% of the American populace is in favor of that, Carl. I don't know if this is a political problem. Let me bring Tom in. Is it? Is this particular issue a problem politically for President Trump?
Well, the numbers suggest that it's not. And of all the issues that people are polling on right now, the economy, inflation, foreign policy, he's got the highest marks on immigration, and in part because of the work that he's done, I think, securing the border and deporting folks. So we'll see. Does it become a problem if more cases like this arise? Maybe. But right now, I think, I know it does. Look, Carl, we talked about this on our show, the students this Tufts University and some of these other folks. And again, part of this too, Megyn, is I don't think as the public, we're not getting enough good information about exactly, who these people are, what they may have done, what they're accused of. And I think the administration could actually do a better job of being a little bit more transparent because, if we just rely on the mainstream media to inform us, I think we will end up thinking to ourselves, my gosh, the administration's totally overstepped their bounds and they're just taking people off the street.
You would think it's a bunch of gay hairdressers. That's what the media wants you to believe. It's just a bunch of innocent gay hairdressers that they threw on planes. And now they're in this prison.
I don't have to worry about that. So,
well, here's the other thing. If you look down the list of polling in this Wall Street Journal poll, my God, it's very favorable for Trump on immigration. There's only one area in which Carl is right. The American public is against the deportations, and I'll get to it. But just quickly, approve or disapprove of the job he's doing handling immigration. 52% approve, 47% don't. Approve or disapprove of the job he's doing handling border security. 53% approve, 43% don't. Do you favor detaining and deporting millions of undocumented migrants? 53% favor, 45% don't. Do you favor detaining and deporting undocumented immigrants, even if they have lived in the U.S. for 10 or more years, pay taxes on earnings, and have no criminal record? Favor, 33%, oppose 63%. That's where the American public draws the line. Because they're with him. I read you the 55 and 62. They're like, any gang affiliation, get out. We don't care. Couldn't give a shit if you wind up in that El Salvadorian prison. I mean, the American public's really clear, get out. But the one thing they don't want to see, Carl, is illegal immigrants who have lived here for 10 years or more, who pay taxes on their earnings and have no criminal record.
Oh, that's Kilmar Garcia. He's right on the cusp. I think he came here
He hasn't been here for 10 years.
10 years ago, something like 2016. So he's close. If they'd let him alone for another 6 months, he'd have been safe in the poll.
Well, I haven't seen an individual poll on him, but I bet you they want him gone too, because when they find out that not one, but two judges, two courts have said, we find the gang evidence credible and you're getting deported, get out. They found that in the context of saying, you got to leave, sir. We don't really give a shit what your problems are. We'll do you the solid of saying you don't have to go back to El Salvador. But, like they say at 4 a.m. in the bar, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. Tariff wars, stubborn inflation. No wonder gold has been routinely hitting all-time highs. And volatile markets like the one we have now don't sit on the sidelines with your head in the sand. You can take control and safeguard your savings. Aren't you thinking about that today? That's why so many Americans today are turning to Birch Gold Group. They've helped tens of thousands convert an existing IRA or 401k into one in physical gold. Is it time for you to hedge against economic instability or market instability with gold? To learn how to own physical gold in a tax-sheltered account, text MK to the number 989898. Birch Gold will send you a free, no-obligation info kit. Again, just text MK to the number 989898. With an A-plus rating with the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-star reviews, Birch Gold has helped many protect their savings with gold. It took us decades to get into the tangled mess we're trying to unpack right now. How long will it take to get out of it? And at what cost? Text MK to 989898 today. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.